Okay, so I'm on my way to Game Exchange, and I'm curious to know how much they're gonna offer for that blue camo Batmobile from Hasbro that came out in 2000, either 1999 or 2000. The one I showed in a previous video, in box, brand, still brand spanking new. As you can see by the screenshot, it's going anywhere between 150 close to 180. Now I know these people like to lowball. I know they like to lowball. I actually have the figure in my bag. I know they like to lowball, and I'm gonna have a clip where it can't be so obvious that I'm recording it, and I want to see what they're gonna offer. Right? But remind you, I only spent like $25 on this figure 5 years back. But it's going up in price. It's like I said, it's hitting close, roughly, to almost 200. I've seen one that's hitting close to 300. So I know what they're gonna ask. They're gonna ask, well, how much did you pay for it originally? And I'm gonna lie. I'm gonna say, I did pay 160 for it. I paid 160 plus the shipping, so around 170. Because I want to see what they're going to offer. I know they're going to try to get me a lowball deal. I'm going to say, well, I can't accept nothing. I can't accept anything less than 150. But if I can hit close to 150, maybe 200, which I know they can't pay no more. I know they can't pay over 100 for an item, but you never know. But like I said, I'm curious. If I can get some money for some good money, I'll take it, whatever, because I do know we need some stuff at home. But I know how these people like to do in my town. They like to lowball. So.
You gotta stop picking on Timothy. Because apparently he done went to Chauncey and Chauncey's gonna talk to you. And he said you talked to him and maybe
So I'm almost close to Game Exchange. I'm not gonna make it seem obvious, so I'm gonna keep my phone in here, but the camera will still be going. That you guys will hear audio, but you guys won't see anything. But you guys will see the red part of the back of the case. So yeah, I'm gonna keep this going. Sorry.
What's up, guys? Yeah, what did you want? Kirby Superstars? Sick. Let me get over there. And then Magic is just for Magic. Oh, yeah, to get better than my card. Yep. Well, my way is yeah, that's Pokemon and Magic together. Oh, I'll be right with you, buddy.
Yeah.
It's gonna be.
Yeah. Trade and see how much I can get for this figure.
You don't know until you ask.
That's true. All right, boss. Oops. Yeah, got your receipt and everything. Any issues, we have a 90-day warranty on it. So, you know, the items have done this early, for example, if it's smaller, or if I can
Silver, yellow.
Well, that being said, we do test these for the
No, yeah, we would have to see it
with them, so
I don't mind.
if you have issues like that in the game.
Only so many, so I'm just looking around to see which ones I can find.
Thank you. You have a great day. You too.
Yeah. Well, this is the only one I could find so far of it.
Did you check out sold listings?
Sold listings?
Yeah, go here and then go down to scroll down to sold items. Sold items right there. Okay. And then yeah, see we see a more active range.
There's no. It's not the same one.
It is a different. I think it's the same branding, but yes, you're right. Keep scrolling to see if there's any more, because that's it, but out of box. And then there's one there. So if we go here, we can go to use collectible. I think I'm gonna be. Keep going. I'm gonna be. No, actually, I'm gonna be right there.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's where I'd be. Do you have your ID on you, boss?
Yeah.
Bit of a range to it in terms of the different ones out there. So, Rick, Lee, what would you prefer to be put in there?
You've traded with us before, haven't you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you know, I'll just put your DL in.
So,
And was like, let me put this in real quick.
I only go by
the
half of my
Nike
name.
Batmobile, 2000.
Okay, cool. Let me search him real quick.
Yeah.
Alright, we're looking at in-store credit 20, cash 16.
Store credit. Or cash, so you said it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's something.
What was it?
Credit is going to be 20, and cash is going to be 16.
Nah.
Okay.
I paid a little bit more for it. Yeah. But thank you, though.
Sure.
Yeah. You too. You too. Y'all be safe. It looks like it's getting a little bit more worse out there.
Yeah, maybe around 7 or 6.
Yeah. You too. So I hope you guys heard that, right? Because you guys saw the screenshot and there's like, well, we'll give you 20 in-store credit, $16 in cash. Hell no. No. I gotta pass on that, man. You're not finna lowball me like that, man. Trust me, let me get my phone propped up here. If I can. You know, curiosity, but the thing is, they know I give them good business, depending, especially if times do fall hard. But come on, man, I paid a little bit more for this. It's not happening, dude. Not happening, partner. They do make a lot of money off me at times when I have it. I'm not gonna lie. Because they did not want to pay what it was worth, trust me, which was, I mean, you guys seen the screenshots, you guys heard me say it. It's not happening, man. I gotta pay, I gotta have a little bit more for it than that. You know, but I did it out of curiosity. Like a few months back, I showed a few figures that hit within that $50, $100 range, right? From the Wednesday figure to the Elena Thunderbolts figure, and I even showed the Batman Beyond Gold label figure. I mean, come on. You're not gonna fuck me over like that today. But like I said, I've done it out of curiosity. Out of just curious. I want to disable this light in the back. There it goes. So, you know, I couldn't do it. Like, because I know how much they would have sold it for. They would have put a huge asking price. Like I said, man, what I did sell them my Batman Gold label, yeah, I was grateful enough I had other stuff with it, but that alone still would have gotten me the 45 I wanted anyways, because it was needed at that time. And then they turned around, like I was talking to somebody at GameStop, because GameStop and GameExchange don't like each other. Versus at GameStop, I was like, man, what? They gave you like less for what it's worth, and they put it on the shelf for like $70. Like, yeah, which they did. Like I said, I bought it back. You know, I'm not finna fucking be lowballed anymore like that. I understand mom's hurt. I understand we do have a week before we get paid for Social Security. But, you know, I bring in good stuff at times. They know that. I take care of my stuff. But you're not going to fucking lowball me down to $16. Huh? No, I'm sorry, I can't hear you with the traffic.
Did you use a house key?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys walked through here, and I've been asking people. I found a house key sitting right there on the damn keychain.
No, luckily I keep mine on a car, Bob.
Yeah.
So it has that extra weight.
So I've been trying to find out who owns the damn thing.
Well, somebody is either going to be needing it soon, or some teenager or kid who dropped it probably got in
I
trouble.
had it for a couple of days.
Yeah. Somebody's going to bound to get in trouble missing the key.
Yeah. And they have to replace it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's going to cost them.
Mm-hmm. I say what hurts worse is when a key snaps in a lock.
Ooh.
I had that happen several
I thought I'd
times.
just ask, you know.
Yeah. That's
all I can do, you know.
I
I
understand.
found these keys over in my parking lot over there. That's been several months ago.
Man.
I guess people don't like their keys for some reason.
Oh God, my dad was a hoarder with keys.
I still have my old keys and locks that I don't even have anymore.
I kept all of his keys that he stole from his job. He worked at a phosphate plant in Nashville. There was so many different locks he was to go to. Because when he passed like 5 years ago, there are certain things I had to like do and unlock them. So I had to keep, does this key fit? No. This key fit? No. What does this key go to? I kind of felt like it was his own little joke. Yeah. Take care.
Yeah, you too.
You know, that's just how that goes when you lose some stuff. But, you know, you're not gonna lowball me specifically like that. Oh God. But I'm curious if Tony would be interested in buying this figure. Maybe. Because I don't know. Usually he's not into really buying all the time. Unless you are one of his vendors. But he will do some business with me when it comes to price. Being able to figure out what I can afford and what I can put on hold. I wonder what didn't I just see that woman? Huh. Interesting, but you know, I wonder what he'll offer for it, or if anything. But other than that, you know, I can't take 16 for it because I know what they're gonna do. Like there's like this Hobby Lobby Gundam figure GameExchange still has that I sold them, that I do want back. I'll probably buy it back from a minute because nobody else is touching it. I know another woman. There was one woman that walked out of the Game Exchange, and with Pokemon, they did try to lowball her and then wanted to raise one price up for a pack. And that's one thing I'll never understand is when did Pokemon become valuable? Or if anything, because realistically, my thoughts on cards is this. I can see the card being worth some money if it's a card that's only has that one print that's won for a Pokemon trading card competition like they do with Yu-Gi-Oh! But going to these card swaps and people selling for stupid money between, let's say between starting off at $3,000 to almost $50,000 is ridiculous. Because my thing is this, somewhere in a storage unit somewhere or on a storage ship full of containers, there's a box full of them that has not been opened yet. And once that day comes, because we always hear stories of how, when something starts out, they're not 100% always put out there until like years down the line. There's like these storage units and companies that have to auction off, and people find a whole boatload of these things, and then the price and value goes down. It's like with the McDonald's Beanie Babies. People thought that they were going to be able to retire, send their kids off to college with those. I never got into Beanie Babies. A lot of kids who I grew up with back in the day didn't. Like, we just knew somehow self-consciously that those Beanie Babies weren't going to be worth nothing. So years later, when a storage unit of a company and like a container, a whole bunch of them were found, and the price of them dropped so low that they're worthless. They are worthless. But you are going to have some stuff that's going to be worth a little bit of money. I don't see nothing being too crazy like a card or a figure, but you are going to have places that are going to lowball you. It's just, for me, Pokemon, they're toxic. They are toxic, like 100% just toxic. To me, the Pokemon community is really toxic. People, do the, not just with the pricing, but you have people who fight over it. You have scalpers who you buy out so much you don't leave any for kids who just want some cards. And then you got people killing each other over Pokemon. It's a toxic community. I grew up with the Generation 1 Pokemon because I was born before it came into play anyways. But even I, at some point, like so many others, once the first generation got over with, we moved on. We weren't going to stick around. We tried to watch the new show for following up after Ash, but we said, this ain't for us. We moved on. And for me, like I said, Pokemon is just toxic. It is. You guys saw the Yu-Gi-Oh cards that I had previous video an hour ago or so. A lot of people ain't taking Yu-Gi-Oh. I would have sold them. I would have said, well, can you give me 20 for it? Because that's enough right there to get a little bit of cheap dog food for my dogs and some pop for mom. That would have been it. But unfortunately, man, I just want to see how much they were going to offer me for it. Again, you guys saw the screenshots. And I did not want to part with it anyways, Couldn't. I am also at that point, like, man, you got to pay me what I'm worth, too. People are waking up these days to say, hey, because I used to do music for 10 years. And I didn't take on every deal. I didn't do a lot of shows because when you have so much music out and you have such a beloved fan base, even underground, and you know, if you're lucky enough, and I was lucky enough that my music physically got to travel to different states, got passed on to several producers by some DJs, you know, I can say this: I turned down a lot of offers, a lot of deals, because not every deal is going to be worth taking. Not every offer is going to be worth looking at. You do have to know your value. But here's the thing. You know, some people see this, may watch Vlad TV. We all know about Boosie and the other guy starts with an A. I can't pronounce his name. Avery's, I think. Yeah, they left because they want more money. Here's the thing, though. Boosie, his only fan base that kept him floating was Vlad TV. He's not doing shows. He's not selling records like that. He ain't torn. The last thing that Boosie showed when it came to house tours was the houses and property Boosie had built that Vlad TV paid for. And now Boosie fucked up that deal thinking, man, you need to pay me what I'm worth. Dude, I wouldn't even have paid you $30,000 because to me, you're not fucking worth $30,000. I know Vlad was paying him $45,000, but I mean, you have to show that you're worth $45,000 because you got to have certain things that keep going, right? Throughout your career, you just can't fucking stop, be lazy, and then do interviews. No. To me, you were only worth, hell, I wouldn't even say $25,000, $15,000 at the most. But if Boosie was smart enough, you know, you would have actually invested in that money Vlad was paying you if you wanted to go do your own thing platform like that. But he didn't. So I don't feel bad for him. Just like Avery's, right? Nobody knows who he was until Vlad TV. And that's why people started going to his comedy shows. Because of that. You know, other than that, nobody was going to Avery's comedy shows. No one. Again, people were only going because he was doing Vlad TV. He was only doing Vlad TV, and that's why. Oh, that's why he was getting an audience now, was because of that. But other than that, you know, you do have to know your worth and things like that. But yeah, I'm gonna let you guys know this video's dragging on. I want to get home before it gets bad again. We did get hit with tornadoes last night again. I do live in a part of Tennessee where it is also considered part of Tornado Alley. Yeah. We've been lucky so far for like 30 years, but you know, we are all playing on borrowed time. One of these days, we're not going to get so lucky. I'm just serious. I'm going to let you guys go. Alright, so my thoughts when it comes to Boosie, and I think the guy's name is Avery's, right? If I'm saying that right, who's leaving Vlad TV because they want more money. Here's the thing. I've done music for 10 years underground. A lot of mixtapes, a lot of albums. I would say I was one of the few lucky ones whose music physically did breach outside of the state in my area. You know, I have met a lot of people, shook a lot of hands, had conversations. You know, a few of my stuff did land in the hand of producers. I did audition, may have not have gotten signed, but you know, and that's fine. At some point, you know, you don't want to take on, and you learn this, you don't want to take on every offer. You don't want to take on every deal that comes your way. you don't want to do it. You do have to know your value. You do have to know your worth. I turned down a lot of deals in 10 years when I was doing music. I turned down a lot of offers. And you just have to know when it's not right for you. You have to know, what your value is. Because I know some people do take the first offer they get and they find themselves in bad positions, soon after, unless you can make it work. And not too many people do. It's like a lot of shows. I didn't do a lot of shows. But those who know me, and especially the fan base that I have, and the listeners, and those who are able to talk to me in person, because I am a down-to-earth person, I never thought I was better than anybody. And that's what they liked. I was in there. I was in the mix, right? And the conversation, one of the conversations like this, why don't you do a lot of shows? Not every show is worth doing. Not every deal is worth taking. I turned down a lot of shows. I did. I turned down a lot. Because so many of these artists who do these shows at these spots, underground, right? Or especially when certain places offer to sell tickets, you're not walking away with anything. You're practically walking out with no money. And I'm not talking about 6 figures, no. I'm not even talking about $500, maybe a few hundred, maybe 100 at the most, right? Or 20, right? A lot of them don't get to walk with anything. When I did cash out, when I chose to retire from music, I walked away with only $20 left after everything. After everything. I was putting in $500 to $1,000 out of my own pocket with physicals, right? I lost a lot of money with SoundCloud when I was getting paid with them because I had to give up all that money with taxes. Did not see a dime back from that at all. And, you have to know your worth. But when it comes to Boosie, because, you paid Tekashi more, well, you got to take a look. Tekashi's run right now, regardless if you like the guy or not, is hot. People want him on his platform. He does bring in views. And those views are equaling up to a lot of money. Plus, he knows his value of his worth, of his wealth. Right? Even though, a lot of money's being took by the IRS for taxes until he's caught up. That's just how it goes. But, Boosie been in the industry for 20 years. Thing is, there's a point in time for all artists, because not every artist is going to have longevity. Especially when you can't cross over and grow. Eventually, Boosie and the whole Trill Entertainment, they done fell off way before, right before I got out of high school, about 16, 17 years back. I'm 35 now. The last time Boosie and Webby done anything, right? Anything was 10 years back. For Webby, he was lucky enough to even get an audience at that time. Boosie, the only reason why his audience was big is because there was a nice big vendor spot that Buck paid for, and Buck was doing something with the show and some touring, right? Touring at that time, 10 years back, after, a little bit before he got back with G-Unit, right? But other than that, you got to show that you're going to be worth me paying you $100,000 or close to, $50,000. Boosie was lucky that he was even getting $45,000 an interview from Vlad. But at some point, people are not going to want to hear the same thing over and over and over. And that's what it was with Boosie. Those views were dropping. And the last thing when it came to really showing Boosie's compound of his property, getting a house built and some places for his kids built, guess what? Boosie didn't pay for that. You know who paid for that to help build that to happen? Vlad. That's right. Vlad pretty much helped Boosie pay for that when he showed his property. From the money Vlad was paying Boosie. Thing is, you know, when it just comes to straight hip-hop, straight nigga shit, right? Rather than investing, put the money in something to invest in, build up, sell it, you know, create a company, create a business. You know, you double, triple your money over time. Or if you wanted to do your own interviews, you could have invested that money into what you needed. You start off small, build your way up, right? Thing is, Boosie didn't do that. So now you got to ask yourself, how many people are now going to be watching you? Because that audience ain't going to be the same. Those views ain't going to be the same. Not to mention, you're going to have to pay editors. You're going to have to pay for a camera guy, right? If you want other people to help you do your work for you. And then the ad revenue from that, you have to know how that's split. You have to pay your workers. You got to pay taxes out of that. You got to make sure YouTube gets their cut, and then yours. And then what you get, you got to put right back in to that channel. Because before Boosie was sitting down, you know, with Vlad on YouTube, yes, he was doing stuff with him back during the Vlad DVD days. But as time went on, no, people just stopped fucking with dude, man. You know, Boosie's just being selfish and greedy, and that's also because, yeah, he has to go away for a while. He brings that shit upon himself. And there's no need to feel bad about it. You know, you do that to yourself, man. You do it to yourself, partner. You know, so we go on a little bit more, right? Aries, I think is his name. The stand-up comedian. Nobody knew who he was until he was doing Vlad TV. Before Vlad TV, he was a dying comedian whose career sunk. No, there's no show selling out. He looked like shit until he started doing Vlad TV. And Vlad was helping Avery's promote his stand-up shows. The money that Avery's was getting, around $25,000 an interview, guess what? He was able to put that money towards getting him a place, getting himself to look good, you know, his health in order from what it looks like. It does look like he's in good health. Clothes, right? And because of him working with Vlad, because of Vlad's platform and Vlad himself, Avery's was able to get an audience, especially when Vlad showed up. So Vlad pretty much helped Avery's career, helped his stand-up career. And then all of a sudden he started being able to go across seas because people fuck with Vlad over across seas. But now that Avery's wants more because, oh, now you're getting greedy. Dude, you're not worth $35,000, $45,000 an interview. You struggled. If you didn't have struggled and you did not need Vlad's help, then yeah, I could say, okay, I'm on Avery's side, Vlad, go ahead and pay him. But no. Plus, he always does these other little platforms and broadcast, right? All right, cool, but are they paying you? And if they are you taking a small offer? Because if you are, that makes you a hypocrite then. It does, 110%. So for me, Avery's, he's not worth paying more. And now that you bit the hand that feeds you, how long is your stand-up career now going to last? Because I guarantee you, those ticket sales are going to drop. Then he's going to get dropped. Once that happens, he's going to want to make shit. He's going to want to reach out to Vlad and say, hey, I apologize. Let's sit down. Then right back to doing interviews. Which means he's gonna be happy and say, man, I'm glad for this $25,000, or maybe even $15,000. Which means After a while, then yes, his ticket sales will go up again. He'll be getting booked more. And he'll never be able to realize, man, without Vlad, I wasn't shit. When I left Vlad because I thought I was worth more, look what happened. My career died. Now it's back up. Lord Jamal, same thing. He done music. Nobody knew who he was back then. Dude never had a hit. Keep in mind, I'm 35. Even people who older than me never heard of this dude until he started doing Vlad. And then he thought he got bigger than the platform. Now look, you don't hear from Lord Jamal. You don't hear from him. You don't hear from him. And that's some of the small things about these oncoming people keep going. Now people's like, what about Tony Ayo? Tony Ayo didn't stop doing Vlad. Thing is, Yayo's busy doing his own thing, building his platform. He will be back on Vlad when the time comes to catch up with him. But you guys got to remember something though. Yayo had money way before Vlad was doing the DVD things. And then when he put him on his first DVD of Vlad back in the day, they shouted him out, the first shout out. They have a good relationship. But the thing is, you know, with the Real Report, they're starting to know their views or numbers are going up. Which means, guess what? That money's looking, yeah, it's looking a little bit better right now than Vlad. But it doesn't mean he's not going to end his friendship with him. It doesn't mean that. Things right now, you know, when you're working on your own platform, you want to focus on that. And I guarantee you, you know, Yale's like, man, just pay me maybe $5,000, $10,000. I'm fine. I got money. You know. Yeah, but that being said, that's my thoughts on it. They, you know, several of them thought they were bigger than the platform. Now look.